Well, hello all you wonderful people out there in YouTube land to the Texas Special YouTube channel. And for this first in-scale review of 2025, we're going to take a look at this Bachmann Silver Series 40-foot PS-1 boxcar, lettered for the Alton and Southern Railroad. Now, as you can see, it is in its packaging. This is a new freight car, so let's unbox it. Just pop the lid off. Then you have this plastic cradle with a lid. Pop it out of the box if you so choose, or if you can, slip your fingers around here and this cover comes off, and there's the car. You can just pop it right on out. While I have the original packaging here, you see this little baggie here with those trash Rapido couplers and a couple of spare coupler springs right below my fingertip. It's kind of hard to see, but they are there. If you're an N-scale and you use the Rapido couplers, I would say I'm sorry if my calling them trash offends you, but for a short while I dabbled in N-scale, and in my opinion, and based on the fact that the hobby has veered about 58 miles away from Rapidos coming as standard couplers on N-scale trains for the last, 20 years, at least on the higher end stuff. I mean, even Bachmann, while Bachmann is a good brand of model trains, especially if you're just dipping your toes in the water for the first time, even Bachmann has gotten away from the Rapido couplers. Now, granted, their brand of coupler is, at least for N-scale, is a solid plastic coupler, but it still leaps and bounds better than the Rapidos, and they are at least micro-trains compatible and Katy compatible. So there's my little rant for that. If you use the Rapidos, I don't know why. The only reason I would think is convenience of not having to swap out the couplers on these itty-bitty little N-scale trains. Other than that, I can't think of any good reason why to keep them, because they look hideous, they uncouple very easily, and they're just a pain. Now, getting back on track, pun intended. First thing I noticed with this car, after I get my camera rearranged, all of the lettering and numbering is very nicely done. Everything on the car, to include the weight and capacity information, is legible. The interior and exterior dimension data right here underneath the A and S herald is all legible. And I apologize, I'm fighting with this camera. You can see that there are some cast-on grab irons. There's cast-on stirrup steps, a cast-on full-height ladder. The brakeman's walkway on the top of the roof, as you can see there, it is a separate piece. It's separately applied. It's a little high up as far as the amount of space between the roof and the bottom of the walkway, but in scale, very, very little, very tight tolerances there. And you've also got to make the stuff thick enough and sturdy enough to handle up to regular use. The door on the side of the car, on both sides of the car, are cast onto the body, so they do not open. The trucks are friction bearing trucks with the journal cover lids. So this is very much a transition era freight car. It could be used in the modern era, you know, as late as you want to go. It's your railroad, but prototypically speaking, I honestly wouldn't use a freight car like this past like 1985-ish. 1985 to 1990-ish. Somewhere in that range is where I would refrain, somewhere past that date range is where I'd refrain from using a car like this. Looking at the B end of the car, you can see a cast-on waybill board here. There is actually polling pockets in on each corner of each end of the car. You have the handbrake wheel separately applied and the brake rigging detail, brake chain and brake rigging detail. You have some nice dreadnought end panels, another full height ladder here. On the A end of the car, there is a full height ladder in the same spot. Looking at it the way we're looking at it here, it's on this side. The roof has the non-slip grid type texture to it, even though it is a one-piece casting. And the little walkway platforms here correspond with the locations of the full height ladders in the opposing corners of the car. The underside of this actually has a fairly decent amount of detail. You can see the wood grain and detailing of the individual planks that's supposed to model the wood floor of the boxcar, as well as the triple valve, the air brake piston, and the emergency and service reservoir. And there's actually a fair amount of lateral and cross bracing supports, as well as the main beam, as well as some air lines that are simulated on the underside of the car. This car came with free rolling metal wheels, as you can see here, and of course it is truck mounted Bachmann Easy Mate knuckle couplers. Now, as I said, the Bachmann variety of knuckle coupler is a solid plastic piece, but it is microtrains and KD compatible. This is a really cool little car. We're going to run it around on George Bohn's layout here at the Texla Model Railroad Club in Orange, Texas, and see how it does.